You guys, welcome back. This is your favorite high cheekbone sisters, Zawadi M. As you guys know, on this channel, I talk business development in Africa and travel. Fortunately for us, we have Marion here who's going to talk to us about travel to Africa. And I'm so glad to know that she went back home. Although she has been really burning our hearts with food. Oh my God, the Liberian food has been so crazy. And so I'm really glad to have you here. So, anyway, Marion, tell us
Okay.
a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, and all that.
Okay. Well, hi. My name is Marian Coker, and well, a little thing about myself. By profession, I'm a nurse. I'm a psychiatric
Okay.
nurse. I would say more by skill because I was training it.
Okay.
But I'm also active duty member. I'm in the
Nice.
Air Force, a captain in the Air Force. Um, as far as I'm a mom
Okay.
of two, a 5 year old and an 8 year old, and I'm also a wife.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So overall, I've been here for in the U.S. for I would say about 20 something plus years. I honestly cannot remember, but I know I graduated.
You know
I
you've been here
graduated
though.
high school here, yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much. I'm all over when it comes to home. I call anywhere home because of the work. Wherever
Okay.
I'm stationed is where I'm at. I started out in New Jersey, and now I was in Texas for a couple of years. And my that's where my family currently is, and I'm in California right now, Sacramento.
Okay.
I'm stationed in
Sacramento,
Fairfield.
September.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's pretty much it for me.
Oh, I mean that's extensive, which is good. Thank you for that. So then after being here for all these years, you went back to Liberia for the first time, second time, third time?
So the first time I went back Liberia after a couple of years was 2012. Okay, I
Okay.
went with my mom,
All right.
and back then I would say my mindset was a little different,
Okay,
and
tell us what was your
yeah.
mindset?
So I from high school, college, and everything, I was excited to go back Liberia,
Hmm.
and I couldn't wait. I was like, oh my gosh, you know. But the cultural shock when I got there, I
Mm,
was not prepared for.
okay.
I I went there for 3 weeks, but
Mm.
when I got there, I felt like, man, if I can change my ticket to like a week, maybe.
To go back. To go back.
Right? It was a huge cultural shock for me. You know, growing up, things looked a whole lot different. And
Hmm.
when you're in an environment, never left that environment before, you don't
Right.
think you're missing anything.
Hmm.
Having the opportunity to leave and come back, I'm like, I don't remember this house looking this tight. I don't remember this place looking like, you know, so it was
Right,
a
right.
huge shock. And there's so much, one of the things that had me down was pretty much not just the environment, but the people.
Right,
It
right.
broke my
Okay.
heart. You know, every time I have to leave the house and I see little kids, it's
Oh.
like no shoes, no nothing, people selling and hustling. And I'm like, man, I spent all this money to come out here and get depressed, you know,
Right. Like, is that a vacation or even?
right? It didn't feel right. So I remember before I left, someone asked me, what is it that you do in the US and stuff? And I was like, I'm a nurse, you know.
Hmm.
Say, oh, that's what your country is looking for. You know what I mean? What are you
Okay.
gonna do for your country, Liberia? What are you gonna do? I'm like, what am I gonna do for Liberia? At that time, like I said, my mindset was a little different,
Right,
and I
right.
was like, what has Liberia done for me? Like, what
Okay,
am I,
okay,
you
okay.
know? And no shade, I'm be honest. I back then I was like, I don't know, you know. And leaving at the airport, I remember someone asked me, "So when are we going to see you next?" I'm like, in 15 years,
Never, or probably never.
right? You know. So, and it wasn't because I didn't have love for the country. It
Hmm.
just then I just wasn't ready.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
I wasn't ready, and it took a couple of years, honestly, because the second
Hmm.
time I went back was last year. And then
Okay,
the third time was this year, like just
okay.
recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, a place you lived and then you moved away, to the US became a cultural shock for you. Like,
Hmm.
what was so different? I know you saw kids on the street and hustling, all of those things, right? But
Hmm.
what was so different from when you were there to when you returned the first time?
It was the lack of no change, and it felt like we regressed, like we went backwards rather
Mm-hmm.
than forward. Like I honestly thought I would have seen different things,
Okay.
improved things and stuff,
Okay.
and it wasn't that way. It was as if the people's lifestyle went backward,
Mm, mm, mm,
you
mm,
know.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes it's one of those things, like they say, when you being a psychiatric nurse, we look at life through a filter, right?
Right.
And every one of us, based on how we are brought up and things, is how we address situation. Your coping
Exactly.
skills and everything is based off of your lens. Your lens is pretty much the way in which you were brought up. It's how you
Right.
see the world. It's how you view everything. So being in the environment at that time, that's the lens I had. That's what I grew up with. I didn't think I needed anything better and stuff like that. So leaving the environment and going back with a different lens that life have shown me, it just wasn't the same thing anymore. You
Right.
know, it wasn't the same thing anymore. Yeah.
So then after that cultural shock, you probably thought, "Oh, I would never go, well, I won't go back until 15 years." But then you went back last year, 2021.
Uh-huh.
What was your experience compared to the previous visit, the first visit?
I'll tell you. I think from 2012 up until 2021, a lot changed. Okay,
Okay.
because for sure, having the opportunity to stay in this great country, right? You get to go. I went to school. I did my college degree and everything here, as most of us did. Um, I started to learn when I
Okay.
was in college, from college, just learning different things. I remember a professor of mine once said in class, a couple of my classmates was being a little bit too much, like feeling that entitlement and things like that. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, he got so upset. He said, you know, the only thing that make any one of you any different from a kid that is raised in a poor country and things like that is your zip code, nothing else.
Mm, mm,
He's like, it's just your zip code. You are
mm,
not, it's not a right. Being born in America is not a right. Being
mm,
born in a rich family is not a right. Okay,
mm,
it's just a privilege. Okay,
mm,
so you
mm-hmm.
are no better than those that were born there. It's just the fact that
Wow.
you're born in this zip code compared to the other zip code. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that stuff like that stuck with me. I started thinking a lot,
Mm,
and I'm like, I was born in that zip code. I grew up in that zip code, and what changed?
mm.
What changed being here and stuff like that. I am not better than those that went through the war that didn't make it through, or those that
Mm-hmm.
are still there and struggling. I am no
Right.
better than them. So
Correct.
it's not a right, it's a privilege. And having that opportunity to have that privilege here is not for nothing. It
Right.
cannot be for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and going through all of that, those stages, honestly, another thing is having like minded individuals around you,
Right. Right.
right? Because having a mindset that you want to do more and things like that, if when the change started happening within me, I didn't feel comfortable sharing it with those that were around me
Right.
because I felt like, oh, they're gonna be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You actually want to go there? Like, what are you talking about? And
Right.
stuff. So I really didn't say much. I kept it to myself, especially when one of the individual is your loved one.
Right.
You
Right.
know, you don't feel comfortable. So
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't say anything. I just felt it, and I started to feel the lack of belonging, like I didn't belong, my
Mm-hmm.
identity.
Okay.
And yeah, so a
Okay.
lot started changing internally for me.
Okay.
And yeah, and having the opportunity to join the military,
Okay.
that even put a whole, it was it was
Give a
like one
different
of those things
perspective.
where I'm like, man. So it's just one of those things. Having the opportunity to join the military kind of gave me a whole different perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like this great country, what make America great is let me say this. You had an interview with this guy, I don't remember his name.
Uh-huh.
but I think the title says CEO of Liberian TV or
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right. I watched that interview and stuff, and the thing he was emphasizing on, he was very passionate. He mentioned patriotism,
Patriotism. Mm-hmm.
patriotism, and legacy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, he is dead on point. I'm like, one of the things that we love about this country and we have the opportunity to enjoy is the fact that they are very patriotic.
Right.
They are very patriotic, having the opportunity to come here, enjoy all the sacrifices that others have made, and not take that one thing back with us is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We are very good with adapting, but we
Right.
adapt sometimes the wrong things.
Exactly. Exactly. So then you internalize now, right? You're just working on your internal self from the first trip now to the second trip.
Okay.
And so then the first trip, like I said, was more
Mm-hmm.
like a cultural shock. The second trip was more of an internal conversation with yourself.
Yes.
Then you decided to be more engaged even before this trip, your
Mm-hmm.
investment and all of that. Can you walk
Mm-hmm.
us through the process and what got you to go back the third time?
Well, the third time, from last year up until this point, after making all those internal changes with myself, I started to look more into investing
Okay.
because, yeah, because honestly, when the whole being patriotic part, love for country, was far more important because honestly, Liberia is not a easy pill to swallow. Sometimes
Hmm.
when you are
Hmm.
there, it's very difficult, and stuff unless you have something that is driving you,
Right.
you know. So just going back, before I went back, I started making arrangements because having
Hmm.
people to trust is one of the biggest thing.
Hmm.
As of last year, I started watching a lot of your videos, and that's when I started having more motivation because other than just having internal conflicts with myself, I needed the motivation. So I started purchasing properties.
Hmm.
So from last year until now, I've been able to have about 5 properties there.
Congratulations, girl.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm in that phase where it's like buy, 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 because I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm behind. I need to catch up. So many things going on there. I need to be a part of it. So that's the phase I'm in right now, purchasing. And I'm hoping starting from next year, I will start doing more of the building part.
That's good. You've already started the idea that you thought about. Hey, I need to go here because this country owes me so. I owe this country so much versus the country owing you a lot. Your first
Hmm.
perspective. Now you've changed that completely. So tell me what was so different about this third trip when you got to Liberia. Walk us through the airport to your
Hmm.
family and driving and seeing. Just walk us through the process.
So if I'm being honest, whenever I'm going, I get so I get so much anxiety before I reach the
Oh,
Liberia, because so many things that I don't expect. There's how you use those certain things, and
yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I am having anxiety to go to my own country, because I'm thinking I don't want to make nobody feel like I'm insulting them
Right.
because I didn't do the right thing, or how sometimes they say, oh, you have to, like, they're expecting something from you
Cold
and stuff
water.
like that, right? You're gonna buy my cold water, stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, I would like to buy somebody cold water, but I don't want it to come as a bribery or
Right,
insult or
right.
whatever it is. So I be on edge, and I try
Okay.
looking for someone that can guide me.
Okay.
And at the airport, I kind of align myself with Liberians that I've been going there, that are
Mhm.
frequently going there. So yeah, I mean, from the airport, it started with, well, we couldn't go closer to the building because I
Okay.
don't know what was going on. So we had to land all the way in the middle of the field and walk all the way or use a shuttle.
Okay.
So yeah, and once we entered, it started with, are you gonna buy my cold water kind of thing? And I'll be so embarrassed. I'm usually very assertive, but in those environments, I'm like mute. I don't know what to say, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing, you know. So, and
Cold
these are
water
older
nice.
people,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
These are older people, so I'm trying not to come off disrespectful. But we made it through, and then the light went out at the airport,
Okay.
and then we were there for quite a while, and everybody's like sweating. I'm
Oh
like, oh
damn.
my gosh, there's no order as far as who's getting what luggage and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So I mean, right out the door, again, my lens have changed. So things that would have
Hmm.
disappointed me before,
Right, right.
it wasn't any more
It
disappointing me. I
shaped your
wasn't,
whole perspective now, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because now I'm like, okay, well, I'm here to be a part of the solution and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So it may the country may be a certain way and things like that, but it's still my country, and I still
Correct.
belong here. And if I'm gonna love it, I'm gonna love it as it is now, and then move forward to make it better, rather
Correct.
than always seeing the flaw. So
Correct.
the whole drive through from the airport home, of course, the lights, no lights, stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But where I was lodging, LEC, been doing great,
It was so nice to you.
right? I know that's why when I left, I started getting complaints about, oh, it's like from when you left the very next day, we don't get electricity anymore. I'm like, you see that? Yeah, so everything kind of worked great from there
Mm,
on.
okay. What are some positive things that you notice?
I mean, as far as the building,
Okay.
people are developing.
Okay. Okay. That's
Okay,
good.
I would say away from the city,
Mhm.
because if you
Mhm.
have to focus too much on the city, you want to see, a lot going on.
Right.
But away from the city, people are developing the country, you
Absolutely.
know. And I'm not sure people from the diaspora or
A
wherever,
lot.
but people are developing, and it's really, really nice neighborhoods out there,
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's a huge difference from before.
Yep. Mhm. Mhm.
And that's why I'm like, the movement has started.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
happening.
It's
It's
happening.
like jump on board if you have the time. Jump on
Mhm.
board. Otherwise, people leaving from other African countries and coming there.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you know,
I saw. Yeah.
yeah, I have a couple of friends. My dad is from Sierra Leone, actually, so it's like I have families out there. So
Okay.
compared to what it is now, when I tell them of this, like Liberia is a virgin country, you guys
Right.
still have innocent things. You guys still have a lot of properties. Property
Right.
costing this much is nothing and stuff like that. So I'm like, you may think that it's too much now compared to from what it was before,
Right.
but you just wait. You
A few
just
years
wait.
from now, you're even gonna be shocked.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
I'm like, that little forest that you think is a forest is gonna be a whole different city. You
exactly.
know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm so proud of our folks in the diaspora, and even some of the folks in Liberia. More and more people are actually developing now.
Hmm.
And so you buy a land maybe $500 before. Good luck to you to find it in a
Nope.
space where development is taking place. You want to find that.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I applaud you and many others for just getting on this movement. So, like I was saying, you're heavily invested in the investment group that Stefan and I would talk about all the time on this channel and even on his
Hmm.
channel, and then the community development, you are a part of it. So you are getting yourself in situations that will prepare you and also allow you to be a part of this development movement, because we all have to be involved. We all have to be uh, involved in this development that we speak of all the time.
Hmm.
Again, guys, this internet here is like
It's not.
FYP internet.
It's not
So just
cooperating.
yeah. So I was saying that being a part of this development movement, you're doing great, and it's just the right step that
Hmm.
you've taken in the direction that we all want to see the country go. So for folks who've probably been here for a long time in the US, Canada, Europe, wherever, that have
Hmm.
said, oh, I've been out of Liberia for 15 years, 20 years. I'm so afraid to go back. I mean, what can you say, to some of those individuals?
I mean, the thing is just taking the step. I'll say if you still have families there that you're in connection with or people you can trust,
Hmm.
okay, I would say just take the trip,
Okay.
take the trip because it's easier to procrastinate the
Hmm.
whole time and not do it compared to, or I'm making the move. Because for me personally, my entire immediate family are here.
Right,
So it's
right.
mostly extended families there. So it's not
Right.
to say going there, I would have been like, I have somewhere to lodge and I have, no. I didn't
Okay.
have that. I had to make arrangements.
Right.
But another thing I found out, how to have decent apartments and stuff like that. Like the amount of money you spent in a hotel, you can have a really nice apartment for six
Yeah.
months for the same amount.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you see what I mean? So you can still do the same thing and still have the electricity, have the comfort, some level of the comfort you used to,
Right.
but it just take the step, going and assessing the country and just stay open minded. Stay
Yep,
open
pretty
minded.
much. She said it. Stay open minded. This is seeing is believing, and also putting that into action. When you go there, you don't have to necessarily start building or doing things, but it's more like an assessment. Go there, even if it's for you to do some assessment. You don't have to necessarily start to build, but go keep an open mind, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and see how you can, you guys can be a part of this development that we talk about. So, lastly, people have been asking recently, how can I
Mm-hmm.
be a part of this community? Blah blah blah. You're a part of this second community. Why do
Mm-hmm.
you think it was so important for you to join this community concept?
Honestly, I was thinking more of, it's not so much of, because, all right, I have properties right around the community.
Yeah,
As
he
I've
told
told
me.
you before, literally, it's like a walking distance from where I purchased the lot, right?
Yeah.
So I have a big property right there, So it
Hmm.
wasn't about not having something in that area already.
Yeah.
It was more of being a part of a bigger picture, was the
Right.
reason
Right.
why I decided to be a part of the community. I
Correct.
wanted to be a part of that change.
Hmm.
And I'm already in the investment group. So being a
Hmm.
part of the community, my mom had mentioned Elizabeth Coker, of course. She's like,
Yes, I
oh,
like your mom.
she's funny. She said,
Yes.
"Go on there. Emma is up there. Go there right now. Go watch." I said, "Okay, I will see the recording later." So she's funny. I've learned a whole lot from her, just from her past experiences. It's part
Yep.
of the reason why it took me a long time. But it's the bigger picture for me.
Right.
I'm not looking for anything that like an instant gratification. Like I
Right.
have
Right.
to
For
get,
sure.
a return right now. I want to profit of this right now. No.
Right.
But when we discuss in an investment group and things like that about, okay, if we have a resort and stuff like that, what can we do?
Right. Right.
If we have an overflow of residents and clients and
Hmm.
stuff, and we need somewhere for them to go, where will they go?
Hmm.
People in the community.
Exactly. Exactly.
People in the
Exactly.
community. So
Exactly.
that's why I'm like, listen, this is more of an investment for me, and
Right.
also creating the resources for the local people. As you
Hmm.
saw in some of the pictures that I sent you,
Yeah.
I went to the village.
You sure did. You had
I
some good
did.
goat soup.
Yes, yes. I spent a whole day in the village, and we killed a goat, and we cooked it right there. And I was, using the people water pump, and I was in my native kitchen. I love stuff like
Okay,
that.
okay,
I
okay.
love
We
stuff
were
like
so
that.
envious of you. You showing your
Yeah,
pictures.
so I just wanted to be a part of the community. So
Hmm.
even though we are coming there and stuff, it's very hopeful for them to see
Right,
people trying to help. So
right,
yeah,
definitely.
so that's the main reason why I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything you've shared. Um, I know you guys are gonna take a look at her pictures that she shared with some of her investments, and
Yeah.
of course, burning our hearts with the food, the goat. I can say that enough. But Marian, it really has been a pleasure. Do you have anything else to add, to encourage our people to talk to our folks about?
I mean, if there's anything, it's just me repeating what I said as far as, I mean, surround yourself with like-minded individuals that
Hmm.
headed the same direction as you are in life.
Hmm.
Not even just for Liberia, just in
Right.
life
Just in
general.
life.
If you want to do certain things and stuff, and you hanging with people that doesn't think the same way as you, not gonna happen.
Wasting your
Okay,
time.
yeah. So a lot of the time for our other African brothers and sisters and things like that, they are no different from us. They have love for country.
Yeah, love for
Okay,
country
they have love for
patriotism.
country,
Right.
and yeah, they are very proud of where they came from. And it's
Hmm.
like you said, a house is not a home.
Not at home.
It's not a home.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
you have to feel comfortable where you came from, no matter what it looks like,
No matter
and be
what
a
it
part
looks
of the
like.
change. Yeah, you be a part of the
Exactly.
change. Start from
Exactly.
somewhere. It's not that hard.
It's not.
It's
Thank
not
you
that
so
hard.
much for that. I hope you
Thank you
guys
so
have
much for your
learned
time.
a lot here, viewers, and we want to thank Marian for even joining this channel today. I know it's so hard to come on
Yeah.
TV or to come
Right?
and share your experience. So thank you for that, and I hope you guys have learned a lot during the course of this discussion. And
Thank
leave us
you.
comment. Thank you, Marian. I'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
Thank you so much for your
Bye.
time. Awesome.
Bye.
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 Bye.